Hello everyone, it is me, Dr. CLL Emlon, and welcome back to my lab. So, with Blinded Season 2 currently in early production, I thought, what better a time to make a recap of Blinded Season 1. Now, of course, you won't need this recap if you already watched the series. I'm just messing with you. We all need a recap every now and then, and I thought, hey, this might be fun. Also, it'll be a nice video to link to people that I'm trying to pitch to watch my series. The first episode introduces us to our main characters, Aelin and Adeleram, lovebirds that are currently in the midst of eloping together, having already gotten married, seen by the wedding rings on their finger, yet have not left their current groups yet, being the witches and the wizards. This scene establishes their relationship and closeness, as well as their concerns about being found out, which serves as foreshadowing for later in the plot. The rest of the episode is a flashback to their actual said wedding, which introduces us to characters such as Angela, Luxra, and Dorothea, characters that will affect the plot later on. As well as this, during Angela's song, during the reception, the first dance as a married couple, we never find out what that is, but during that scene where Angela's singing Think of Me from Phantom of the Opera, we also get a quick shot of Egmont and Desodem, two characters that will also serve as an obstacle to our leads later on in the plot.
Small town, big crowd.
In episode 2, we see Angela and Aelin, who are established as best friends. Aelin reveals to Angela about Adeleram's identity, which reveals to us that she had not told Angela this up to this point, despite being best friends, and also reveals that she is pregnant. While visibly upset by this news, Angela feigns being happy, but also asks Aelin how she's going to deal with this, seeing as their relationship is forbidden. Aelin reveals that she plans to leave later on during the pregnancy, probably pretending that she was having this child with a human man. Angela says that she'll miss her, and then we are briefly introduced to Brooke. Brooke states how Daryl, the head witch, wishes to talk to Aelin, and Angela is left alone for the rest of the episode. The episode continues to establish that Angela is madly in love with Aelin and has been suffering in silence throughout the entirety of Aelin and Adeleram's relationship, and how she will have to accept that as long as Aelin is happy, she should be happy. Luxra is then revealed to have been eavesdropping at the end of the episode, Angela none the wiser.
And there you were in front of me.
The third episode establishes the human disguise that Aelin and Adeleram have taken up, as a local doctor and his wife in a human village. Reason being that they want to blend in if they ever want to gather, raw materials or food. Because if random strangers just keep popping in and out, people are gonna get suspicious. So they gotta blend in. This episode also properly introduces us to Desodem, who is then established by Adeleram as a wizard who had been banished from Adeleram's group. Well, not really Adeleram's group, but banished from the wizards, period. But Adeleram does play a level of importance, seeing as Desodem is persistently going to Adeleram. Desodem then reveals that he has a plan to gain his title back as the Wizard of Mayhem. He shows Adeleram a very poorly made blueprint of a cannon he wishes to construct to attack the witches at their very home. Aelin, being right there, expresses concern, and this reveals that she's going under the alias Imelda when she's in her human form. Masking his obvious concern for his pregnant wife as worry about making the war worse between witches and wizards, Adeleram expresses to Desodem that he is not keen on the idea of murdering the opposing party. This angers Desodem, who goes on an absolute rant about how Adeleram is a hypocritical individual and is cutting him off from his own child. As the rant escalates, Desodem reveals that Adeleram nearly choked a witch to death in blind rage during a peace discussion meeting 3 years ago. This obviously puts Adeleram on edge, and Aelin has a flashback which reveals that the said witch being choked was Brooke. This is also implied to be the first time Aelin and Adeleram properly met. This scene also introduces us to what will later be called the Darkness. It causes Adeleram's anger to spiral and causes Aelin to faint while on a ladder. This cuts Desodem and Adeleram's argument short, as Adeleram obviously has to go and tend to his fainted wife. Desodem excuses himself, and we have a scene between Aelin and Adeleram in somewhat the back quarters of their human village doctor office. Aelin is unsure what caused her to faint, as this is not something that usually happened, and she hesitantly adds that she skipped breakfast that morning, causing Adeleram to ask further. We then cut to Desodem and Egmont, Desodem in the midst of bawling his eyes out, revealing that he has a daughter that his banishment is keeping him from seeing. While Egmont consoles him, their private conversation is interrupted by Luxora, who introduces himself in a very, very polite manner by intruding on their conversation and offering his services. Egmont and Desodem smirk at each other, and the episode ends.
Small talk, big thoughts. All we wanted was.
The fourth episode introduces us to Daryl, the head witch who is clearly very agitated with Aelin, seeing her disassociation from the witches as well as her pregnancy as some form of betrayal. Once seemingly having calmed down, however, she allows Aelin to disassociate, telling her that Brooke will give her the disassociation forms in a week's time. Brooke questions this once Aelin has left the room, and Daryl reveals that that was not her actual intention. Asking Brooke to keep an eye on Aelin, Aelin is then subjected to Brooke's stalking, which is not subtle in any shape or form, freaking her out and causing her to lose her appetite, which is the reason why she skipped breakfast said morning. Adeleram offers to bring Aelin for some food, and the two of them go to Hellbooks. In said Hellbooks, we see Luxora and Desodem further discussing their plans of creating the canon, in which Luxora asks Desodem what caused his initial banishment. Desodem then reveals that the wizards constructed entities that were designed to kill witches. Seeing these entities as his own children, Desodem would sneak in, to nurture them and play with them, which was not permitted by the wizards, which caused his banishment that was intended to last 30 years. Without his presence and power to keep the entity he was responsible for making, Cassie, alive, Cassie would gradually start to deteriorate, so she was kept in a sort of comatose state until Desodem comes home. Desodem, not wanting to wait 30 years to visit who he sees as his daughter again, his plan with the canon to Desodem is seemingly the only way to gain back his title and with it his daughter.
To escape.
Episode 5 begins with Dorothea greeting Angela and inviting her to see who she refers to as her boss. Once brought outside, Luxora greets Angela and reveals to her that they have constructed the canon that Desodem requested. Angela is obviously panicked by this. Simultaneously, Adeleram arrives and is just as surprised by the canon. An argument ensues which causes a distraction, leading to Egmont deciding to take matters into his own hands, lighting the canon himself. Before the inevitable destruction, Dorothea goes to console Angela, who has been shown to be somewhat sympathetic towards the angel throughout the entirety of the episode. Before she can compliment Angela's wings, however, the cannon goes off. We then cut to the inside of the castle. Debris is falling, witches are fleeing, and Aelin gets caught under a large piece of broken off ceiling. Her pleas for Brooke's help go deliberately ignored, and the episode ends with Angela finding Aelin's hand sticking out under a large pile of debris.